Hey, what's up guys? Ronin Man here. Hey, today I want to talk about red pill rage, awakenings, waking up to the matrix, Satori, whatever you want to call it. It's that moment when you start to realize that something was not the way you thought it was. Essentially there's chaos in your world that you didn't know before. And I wanted to make this video because I think it's a very important topic. In the MGTOW community, it's basically accepted that there's such a thing called red pill rage, right? And I've talked to a lot of people about this. Obviously, there's guys like Angry MGTOW channel, who's angry, very angry, and this is the feeling we get, you know, when we realize that you know, life wasn't the way we thought. And this idea, okay, this idea is not a MGTOW idea. This goes way back to Buddhism, which is one of the oldest religions in the world. And the basic concept is the Buddha was from a very wealthy family, and he was a protected kid. He lived in a castle. It was a walled type of environment, and there was no suffering inside that environment. There was no death. He never saw anything like a lot of what we consider real life. He didn't see that. And actually in modern society we don't see death either, so there are a lot of connections to our modern life also in the Buddha's life. But so the Buddha, what he did was he had a chance. He took his servant and he had him take him out on his chariot out to see the real people. So it was a moment when his parents were not paying attention, and so he went out and he said, what's wrong with that guy? And he said, well, he's sick, you know. He said, why can't he walk? Well, what's wrong with him? He said, well, he's sick. He said, oh, you know? And then he looked at somebody else and he said, well, what's wrong with that guy? Well, why is he doing that? He said, oh, he's dying. That's an old man, he's dying. So the Buddha, basically, he wasn't the Buddha yet, but he realized that he knew so little about the world. He didn't know any of the suffering of the world, you know. And he was embarrassed, you know, and he realized like this was an important part of life. And so he quit. He left his home, and he wandered for the rest of his life, basically. And he went through another number of things that aren't that important to this discussion, but basically he had this awareness that life is suffering, that there's a lot of suffering in the world. And that he didn't know shit about it. You know, he was like this rich kid who just didn't get any reality, and he was embarrassed about it, and he wanted to know. He was a real man. He was not afraid of learning. He was not afraid of the real world. And if you look at the Buddha, if you look at his reaction to this awareness, you know, sudden awareness, realization, you could call it. And was he super angry? No, he went out in the world and he tried a number of things to reach a greater level of understanding of the world, like he wanted a deeper and deeper understanding of what this world is and what is going on here. You know, he wanted to understand. So he went through all these phases, but the one phase he didn't go through was being super angry at his parents, you know, and blaming them. And he didn't go through a red pill rage phase, you know, like a lot of MGTOWs think. And I believe a lot of young MGTOW think that this is a normal phase to go through, you know, is to go through a rage phase. And I want to basically destroy that, because I don't think it's necessary. Although I do think it's a fucking heavy thing we're going through, and it's no joke, you know. But okay, let's talk about that. So, what is a rage? What's the difference between being annoyed, being angry, being upset, being enraged, and to go into a rage, and to go on a rampage, right? What is the difference in these things, right? Are these all the same? No. When you're disturbed, it's like a small thing bothers you, you know, like maybe your coffee at Starbucks is a little bit late, and so you're disturbed because you're in a hurry, and you know, you don't get it as fast as you want, right? So that's something you'd be disturbed about, you know. Or maybe you see you hear a noise outside your house and you think, I wanted to sleep longer, but I woke up because this loud noise and I'm disturbed, right? And okay, then angry is like more of a serious thing, right? It's like you have a long-term problem or something that's disturbed you many times, and now you feel an anger, right? You're angry inside, right? And that could manifest in many, many ways, but basically the feeling is anger. And then you could go, if the anger festers and if the anger gets worse, and again, I'm not. There's no judgment here. Okay? I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying if the anger gets worse for whatever reason, it can become out of control, where you go on a rampage. And if you look at people that do mass murder and go into schools and shoot, they go on a rampage and they're in a rage, right? I've known some people who go into rages, and it's like they really can't control themselves. Like, this is not a rampage. This is a controlled environment here, right? Like, are these guys on a rampage? No, they're very in control. They're practicing. They're improving, right? And the essence of martial arts is that you don't go on a rampage. Is that you learn to control yourself so that you don't have to go on a rampage. I mean, you wouldn't want to go on a rampage against a guy who's a very good fighter, right? Because he's going to take you out because you're emotionally, you're not with it, right? Like, one of these kicks would obviously knock you out, right? So you don't want to go on a rampage, guys. A rampage is dangerous for you, and at the same time as the emotions that you have as a man at realizing these things. Let's talk about that. Okay, so when you realize a lot of these concepts, and I don't want to say which ones because it's different for everybody and we're all in different circumstances, and let's just say generally, when you start to, there's a guy, Gabriel, who started to watch my channel just like a couple days ago, and he's very, very motivated to learn. He read The Manipulated Man, he read The Predatory Female, and he's watched like a lot of my videos, because when he comments with he's seen the video, right? This is one thing I don't like, is when people comment on a video without having watched it, because you don't know what my perspective is until you watch the video. Because if I was just copying other MGTOW channels or rehashing ideas of other guys' channels, then it's fine, right? I'm just a copycat channel, right? But actually my concepts, my videos, I only use my own ideas, So it's like, the only way you look at the title and you have an idea of what it's going to be about, but you have to watch the video before you understand what I'm actually saying, because often what I'm saying is very different than other people, right? It's my own perspective, right? It's not, I can't stand people who copy other people who don't create, I think like just copycats, although copycat is a phase in learning. I'm not going to put down copying, but it's not the ultimate goal, right? The ultimate goal is that you become your own man, and that you learn how to think, you learn how to critically analyze the world, and that you don't necessarily agree with everybody else. You don't necessarily agree with other MGTOWs. You don't necessarily agree with society. You don't necessarily agree with anything that you read, even in a magazine that you love and that is very important to you. Any kind of book that you read or whatever, it's going to be your own opinion, right? And so guys, how you doing? Cheers. See these guys here? What's up, man? Hey, have a good one. Good weekend. Okay. All right. Yeah, these guys work hard, man. These guys work hard. These are the taxi drivers and motorcycle taxi drivers in Thailand. Okay, so let's see, where was I at there? Okay, so when you go through, I really want you to understand that the concepts of MGTOW are not new. Okay, the idea of an awakening, this is an old idea. And the thing is that the reason why it's important is because you can learn so much from history, history can teach you so much about the world, you know, about how things work and why things are the way they are. I really recommend studying history. You know, it's really important, and this is one thing you don't get in a lot of SJWs and, you know, people that don't study history, so they don't understand where their ideas come from. You know, once you understand where an idea comes from, it changes everything. You know, just give you one example, non-related, but in Japan, blood type is considered super important for dating. And then people will say, well, what's your blood type? And then they say, you know, well, you have O, that means you're open-minded, and that means that you're like, you know, this and that, and I'm an A minus, so that means that I'm, you know, this way. And they have these concepts of this blood type was related to personality. So when I first heard of this, when I first went to Japan, I had never heard this before. You know, I'd heard of palm reading, I'd heard of, you know, I'd even heard of different head shapes, had different personalities, and there's all these theories out there, right? But I had never heard the blood type one, and so I was, you know, I'd be, you know, boning all these girls, and they would tell me about their blood type and my blood type, how we match together so well, and this and that. And then I thought, this is odd, you know, like this is a Japanese thing, so I started to talk about it and look into it, and it turns out that the blood type, the history of the blood type, it comes from Nazi Germany. It was a German scientist that was trying to prove that the German race was superior to other races, and so he created this blood type. He looked at the type of blood that most German had, and of course the blood type the Germans had was the good type. It was the reliable type. It was the honest type. It was the trustworthy type. And the other types that were not so common in Germany were like not as reliable and not as good, right? You know, because it was a theory. It was a theory as a nationalistic theory to unify the people, right? For this huge war, which was going to be very painful. So, so that's where the blood type came from. So once I knew that, I just couldn't take Japanese seriously, because they still believe that. Japanese girls still believe that blood type is important, and most Japanese girls don't even know that blood types came from the Nazis. This whole concept. So history is really important. It allows you to kind of navigate the world easier. Like, for example, once I knew that blood type was a totally, you know, what do you call it? It was diminished. It was not. It was ridiculed. It was not a serious thing, and that it came from the Nazis in an effort to galvanize the people to kill 6 million people. You know, like defenseless people. I mean, that's just such a to think that that's a real concept, and even to take it seriously is ridiculous, right? So the history is important. So the history of MGTOW and the history of these concepts of awakening. That's what we're going through, guys. We are going through an awakening. Like the Buddha, like all these different religious figures, they had awakenings, right? We're going through an awakening, so we can learn from them how they dealt with that. The Buddha, what he did was he left. And that's very similar to what I did too. I left the West because I just didn't see. I wanted to go see the world. I wanted to learn more. I didn't, you know, believe the same way that I used to believe, right? In society. I wanted to go out and see for myself what the hell's going on in this world, right? So that's why I went out. That's one of the reasons why I went out. I wanted to find out, right? And so your rage, okay, the feelings that you have are real, okay? You're going to be very upset because when you watch a movie, when you watch a TV show, when you talk to your mom, when you read a book in school, when you listen to a great speech of an orator, a leader, a politician, when you look at the laws, these laws are basically, society is basically set up with no understanding. How's it going? It's basically set up with this idea that men control things and men have all the power, and then when you realize that men don't have hardly any power and they have zero power over their own babies, and that they can be essentially slaves to women, and that it's very common, and probably your father is and your friends are, and it's like when you realize that a lot of the narratives that that you hear are not true, it's very upsetting. Okay, don't get me wrong, you're going to be very upset. It's okay to be upset. I mean, your emotions are real. That's what I want to say, is that you have to deal with them, and they're not going to be easy to deal with. Okay, so don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't have feelings. Okay, you've got feelings, and what you need to do is you need to find out. I guess there's a lot of things that I recommend. One is to find out what other guys have done when they felt these, when they felt these feelings, when they realized these emotions, and to learn from how other men have navigated these difficult waters. There's wisdom in the other guy's experience. Okay, you don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can look at other guys' experience, and you can pick and choose the aspects of other guys' experience that make sense for you, right? So that's what I think. There's a little shrine to the gods there. This is one of my favorite neighborhoods. I love this little neighborhood here. So I'm just gonna wander through here real quick. Okay, so you're gonna be angry. So you're gonna have to talk to people too, because you're gonna be like, have a lot of questions, and you'll be upset when you see that. Hey, how's it going? And you're going to be upset, and you're going to need to talk about it. Okay, you're going to have to ask questions and wonder, like, why is society like this, and why do women do this, and why does, how does this work? Like, in my book, in my school, they're telling me that men have all the power, but when I look at my father, when I look at my friends, when I look at society, it's not the way I thought it was. And how is it? And you need wisdom around you. Like I had my mentor Dawn, and now we have MGTOW channels and MRA channels and men's channels. How's it going? And that we can teach each other, right? We can learn from each other, and that's the key thing. You need to learn. You need to have a place that you can talk about these emotions and these feelings that you have. So that you don't get too angry. You don't want to, essentially what you want to do is you want to maturely handle these difficult emotions at the same time as you keep learning, so that you can become a better man, so that you can overcome all these difficult emotions, feelings, complicated, deep-seated anger. You're going to want to explode on people. And again, this is where I say you got to go back to my video, be a black box. Okay, so on the outside, on the inside, you are, on the inside, you're angry, you're upset, you're asking questions, you can't believe that society would lie to you like this. You can't believe that your grandparents, and you can't believe that nobody would tell you the truth, that nobody even cared about men enough to tell them that there's risks, and that not all women have their best interest in mind, and that many men are very frustrated and live terrible lives because they get stuck in situations that are very unhappy, and people don't even tell you when they're unhappy. Like, they'll lie on Facebook and say that they're happy in the relationship, and then they'll tell me secretly, like, they're so miserable, they have another boyfriend or girlfriend, and they absolutely hate their spouse, and they're going through these difficult things and huge fights every night, but on Facebook everything looks great, right? And this is especially common when it comes to relationships. And when it comes to guys, women are good at talking. They're good at communicating and discussing and learning from each other. It's a wonderful aspect of the female nature, is this ability to talk and communicate. Sometimes this really comes in handy, and this is when women have the edge, and this is because they help each other and they're able to talk. Right? So if they're frustrated with something, they're able to say, I'm so frustrated, I'm angry, why did this happen? And then the women, the good aspect of women is that they'll talk to each other, and they'll give each other some kind of advice and perspective on things, right? So that it becomes easier for them to deal with these difficult things. Life is difficult, guys. Get over it. Life is difficult. It ain't easy out there. It ain't easy for you, it ain't easy for me, it ain't easy for anybody. So don't expect it to be, right? Don't expect this phase to be a piece of cake. Like you're gonna be like, oh, this is so easy, you know. I can't, you know, it's easy for me to do. And you know, it's not. You're gonna be frustrated. You'll be at the end of your rope. It requires, okay, here's the thing. Life requires everything you got. That's what I mean. Every fucking thing. If you want to be the man you want to be, it requires everything you got. Everything evolution gave you, every thing you ever learned, every ounce of self-control, every tiny bit of intelligence you have, it requires everything. You got to give it all if you want to have a good life. Okay? That's what I'm saying. And if you the better life you want, the more it requires. If you want a mediocre life, it doesn't require that much, right? You can just kind of you can have a pretty simple life, right? But if you want to kick ass and you want to have a great life, man, it requires your manhood, every single bit of it. Not red pill rage, not out of control emotions that are not trying to improve yourself. Because look at this. Okay, look here. Okay, let's just say that you are in a movie. Okay, now in this movie, you realize, you know, it's a zombie movie, right? So you realize that that everybody around you is a zombie, right? And that they're going to kill you, and they look like humans, but they're actually zombies, right? And you know, you have to, so what would you do? So you're surrounded by zombies who look like people, okay? Or maybe you don't know which ones are zombies and which don't. Are you going to start, like a little girl, start saying, you're all zombies, see, I know you're zombies, you know? This is the red pill rage, okay? You're all zombies, you guys. And then of course they pull up the knives and they cut you in half, right? And then you become a zombie, right? Or whatever, they suck your blood or whatever the fuck they do, right? And you become a fucking zombie because you're such a baby, you're such a girl that you had to blurt out everything you knew. You couldn't just say, wait a second. Like a man is like, wait a second. These fucking people are fucking zombies, I think, you know? And then you got a theory, right? You got a scientific theory. And then you start to say, wait a second, if these are fucking zombies, I gotta get the fuck out of here. But how do I do it? I can't talk about it. I gotta get out of here. And then like in the movie, you're gonna look for somebody. You're gonna look for another person that is a human being, that's not a zombie, who is like you, who you can talk to. And you're gonna say, hey, how do we get out of here, right? What can we do? Like, who's a zombie? Who's not a zombie, right? And you're gonna get together and you're gonna come up with a plan to either kill the zombies or to get out of the way of the zombies, right? And that's what you would do in a movie, right? In a zombie movie. Well, imagine you're in a zombie movie now. This is what I'm talking about. You don't want to, okay, run out there and give away everything you know. Okay, now at the same time, like I said, your emotions, your feelings are important, guys. This is what society just ignores, is the way that you are a fucking human being, man. Okay? Not that different from a woman in many ways. You're a human with emotions and feelings, and you can be destroyed emotionally. And that's why guys kill themselves, okay? That's why they give up, that there's nothing left, right? You're not a robot, okay? You need to address these things, okay? You don't need to sit on a couch your whole life. You don't need to be a fucking total pussy. But what you do need to do, hey guys, they're guarding their little territory here. Yeah. Whoop. Yeah. Okay. There. I like this little wall here. I like the colors on this wall. You know, don't blame dogs for being dogs, by the way. You know, don't blame society for doing what it does. Society protects itself, you guys. It's not in your interest. We're the artificial intelligence, kind of, that keeps society running. I mean, we are the hardworking, ever-giving, sacrificing diesel engine that runs society. Do you think they want you to be free? Is it in society's interest that someone like myself, educated, intelligent, you know, like you could argue that, but I would say intelligent, and also a spirit of curiosity and scientific inquiry. Is it beneficial to society that I left the place where I was born, and that I left after getting educated, after absorbing all this wonderful knowledge? I went on my own, and I didn't marry, I didn't raise kids, I didn't pay all this money, I didn't work extra hard, you know, when I don't have to, you know. I only work when I need to work for myself. If I want to build a company, it's just because I want to do it. It's not because I need to do it. I just want to do it. I have something inside of me that I want to accomplish some goal. No, society is best run if everybody has to work, not because they want to. Okay, society works better when everybody has to. There's a little chipmunk. Yeah. Society works better when everybody works super hard and nobody complains. Society is more like the military. How does the military operate best? Is when everybody does what they're fucking told, right? You know, that's how society works best. Is when everybody's a good little soldier and they do their job. They're an E4, right? They're an E5, whatever their rank is, and they keep in their place and they do what they're told. And they follow the rules, and they change the rules if they need to. You know, they vote them in. They keep things stable, right? They pay taxes. They clean their clothes. And they keep, you know, like they don't trick people. They tell the truth, right? That's the best interest of society. And I'm not saying that's evil, okay? I am not saying that's evil. I'm just saying that is in the best interest of society, okay? It's not in the interest of society that guys take a good education and then they go on their own and they don't give back. They don't, you know what I mean? They don't raise a family like their dads did. They don't pay taxes for a family. They don't work when they're sick. They don't work when they're tired because they say, well, why should I? You know, I don't need any more money. I'm happy, you know, I'm happy with myself. Why should I do that? You know, why should I work on Sundays? Why should I take that director's job when, you know, basically I'm totally happy? And then look at the director. He's pulling his hair out, his hair turned gray, he's miserable. You know, his wife wants to, you know, divorce him, and, you know, like, you know, he's not happy, you know, he's not sleeping, he's on, you know, some kind of antidepressant pill, you know, like, why would I become the director if I know that's what my future is? The reason why you do it is because you're stuck. Okay, society wants you to be somewhat stuck. I mean, I think society's not some evil force. I mean, they would rather that you're happy, but I mean, in the, you know, their first choice is that society continues, that there's tax revenue, and that everybody keeps things going. Things are, you know, crime is low, and people are predictable, and tax revenue comes in on a predictable basis, right? And that new babies are born. New babies are born. That's an important part of society. They need new babies. They need new citizens, right? Countries like Japan, where you have a problem now because there's a declining population. It's a huge problem. Schools are being closed. Railway lines are being closed. I mean, they're just like, roads are just going, you know, becoming decrepit, you know, because there's not enough people in those areas, right? They're all moving to Tokyo. And the more people that move out, the more people don't want to stay. The less attractive it is, and the harder it is to keep people. Then you have to raise taxes in these countryside places, and that makes less people want to be there, right? Then more people want to leave, and everybody wants to leave, right? And the whole place collapses, and that's how society works. Okay, that's how it works. And if you were the president, you would, I think, the same way. You would want society to continue functioning, okay? So it's not in society's interest. At the same time as society they care a little bit about you, and they want you to do well, and you know, there's a little bit, society wants you to be somewhat happy because that makes you a better worker. There's benefits to society. But I mean, again, I'm not going to say society is some evil thing. I mean, I think society is one of the reasons why we have such a fantastic life today, is that everybody works, scientists work, everybody researches, new ideas come out, and new discoveries are made, and people make sure the electricity's on, you know, the internet works, and, you know, security works, and, you know, and these kind of things they're good for me too. So I'm not saying it's evil. I'm just saying that you don't have to necessarily do what society wants you to do, and you have to be able to know the subtle difference of what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, why you're going to do it, okay? And what you don't want to do is have red pill rage, because again, you're giving yourself away, okay? If there's zombies everywhere, okay, this ain't no fucking joke, you guys. This red pill understanding, realization of the world is very fucking heavy, what we're going through. And it's not easy. I know that. It's really hard, man. It's fucking really hard. I remember when I first figured this shit out, I trusted the wrong person. I was very careful. I was a fucking black box. So I'm not talking out of my ass here. When I say be a black box, I'm saying follow my fucking lead. I saved myself a lot of pain. If you are not a black box and you let people know that you're not, and that women are like this and the way society's not like that, you will be ostracized. You will be penalized. You will pay a price that you don't need to pay, because you can be much smarter about it. You can realize things without doing things. Okay? So the grandfather is sitting there in the corner rocking around. Now he actually understands a lot of things about the family that he's not saying. He knows that the girl goes out and gets laid. The 17-year-old daughter goes out with her high heels on and her leather skirt, and he pretends like he can't see it, right? Because he's wise, okay? He's learned. Don't get involved in these things, you know? He knows his place. He's gonna get involved. He is the same guy, that grandfather, that, just imagine this wise grandfather in the corner. He's the same guy who would sacrifice his life to save the family if a robber came in, okay? So I'm not saying he doesn't care. He's not a nihilist. I'm just saying that the grandfather, as you get older, you get wiser. If you live and you realize what things are important, what are not important, and where you should put your energy, okay? So, with back to red pill rage, when you realize that you're being brainwashed and bombarded, and that society is, in some ways, as far as you're concerned, completely fucked. You're like, what in the fuck? You know, you're just like, I can't believe this shit. Like, this is such bullshit. Women say that guys have all the power. We have no power, right? It's like, you know, women control the fucking world. One little sperm goes into her one little egg, and your life is in her hands for the rest of your life, pretty much. Your financial life is based on the fact whether she's a good person or not a good person, and you cannot control that, okay? You are totally making one of the biggest gambles of your life with almost no benefits, okay? There is not like, it's not like if you gamble on a startup, you can become insanely wealthy. No, the luckiest thing will happen with a woman is that she won't destroy you. That is the gold medal. That's the big prize at the end of the fucking rainbow, is that your life is not destroyed like most men. Okay, so there is no huge benefit. But when you realize this, you're like, oh fuck, you know, that's when you have to get really tight with the MGTOW community. Oh yeah, okay, let me go back to something very important. So I was a black box. I was very careful what I told guys, what I told people. Now I had my good friends. Like I say, I had the manipulated man. It was just back in early 90s, and I copied it with a copy machine, and I stapled them together, and I put little holes in them, and I tied them together with little ropes, and I handed out to all my friends. The predatory female, I read it over and over and over again. I wore out 3 copies of each, I believe. It's maybe 2 or 4, I don't know, like a lot of copies, because I read it so many times the pages actually fell apart, and I couldn't read some pages because I read them so many times. I just read it all the time, because there was no internet, there was no MGTOW community, there was nobody else to get information from. I had these 2 books, and I knew they weren't perfect. I mean, I still don't agree with everything in there, not at all. But that's all I had for finding out wisdom about women and society. So I just read them over and over and over. I looked for everything. I read another book called How to Be the Jerk That Women Love, and that was a good book too. There was a few books, and I wrote a book, How to Train Women Like Dogs, but I never published it, and that was a huge mistake. I should have published that book. I wrote that book back in '93, and it's a hilarious book. I still have it. At some point I will go ahead and publish it, but it might be a little bit out of date with my current understanding of the world, but it was my best understanding back in '93. And so, okay, so what I did was I tried to learn as much as I could. I had my core group of friends, right? And and we talked about this stuff all the time. And then I made one terrible, terrible mistake. Okay, I trusted another man who was close to someone who's very important in my life. Okay, and I told him everything I knew about women, everything, all the red pill stuff. And I mean, I was like way more hardcore than I am in these channels. Okay, I was like seriously fucking hardcore back in '93. I was pissed off, man. I was angry, and I told him everything. And guess what he did? He told somebody in my family everything. And it wasn't just over one day, it was over several years. So the poison that he put in my life, he basically betrayed me at the highest level, the worst level, because he, on an ongoing basis, poisoned my relationship with somebody who was very important to me at the time and is still important to me. And you know, you have to be careful. You have to be careful about red pill rage, and you also have to be careful who to trust. So don't, just for starters, if you want basic rule, don't trust anyone in your family, okay? If you want to trust somebody, try to trust somebody who's outside the family to talk about this. So a guy that you met in a MGTOW channel, that's perfect, because he's definitely outside your inner circle of friends and family, and he has no way to even betray you if he wanted to, right? That's a good safe person to talk to, right? To go through your frustrated anger and emotion and feelings, and you know, your real feelings, like I said, these are real, these are natural, these are normal. These aren't bad. You're not a bad person. And you're gonna say things you regret. I said things then that got passed on that I didn't even really mean. I was trying to figure it out. There was no internet, there was no MGTOW. I was trying to figure this shit out on my own. And I'm like, fucking bitches, you know, like I was fucking pissed, right? And at the same time as I was dating insane amount of girls, I was having insane amount of sex. And I did have a lot of good experiences with women in that same period. And women treated me, you know, like I said, hundreds of girls. So I mean, fuck, there was a lot of interesting, funny, pleasant, loving situations in that period too in my life. Okay. But meanwhile, I'm trying to like process this fucking thing that society's against me, basically, right? As a man. And that everybody's lying to me. It's like, what the fuck, you know? The fuck, you know? How can this be this way? How can he say that when he knows better, you know? How can he write that book when he knows? How can he lie and say that he's happy when I know he hates his wife. I know she hates him. I know she cheated on him. I know he thought about killing her. I know that he thought about leaving her. I know that he left 3 or 4 times and came back. I mean, why doesn't he say it? Why doesn't anybody know about the sadness and the anger and misery that he's in, right? It's like, oh, this frustration, right? But the key thing was, I was very careful not to spread it around to everybody. But I told one person, and that one person betrayed me so bad. It hurt me, even to this day, it hurt me. So be very careful. So don't be a fucking red pill rage is a phase kind of guy, okay? There is going to be anger. There's going to be frustration. There will be minor annoyances. And you will feel rage, but you have to control it. If you want to have a good life, okay, you have to learn to not be an open book. Okay, you want to deal with it in a mature way, like that grandfather sitting in the corner. When does he act? When does he not act? When does he talk? When does he not talk? How much does he know, and how much does he share, right? So right now you want to be like that grandfather in the corner, watching women, watching movies, watching society, reading books, looking at your mom, watching your girlfriend, and you're inputting information, and you're sitting there acting stupid in your fucking rocking chair. Okay, that's the kind of image you want. Okay, and also that same image, that other image of being in a zombie movie where you realize, oh my God, they're all fucking zombies around me, and then you act totally normal and you walk right through them, right? Of course, you keep learning, right? That's very important, right? You keep fucking learning, right? Okay? All right? So don't give it all away. Don't be a fool. Don't push everybody away in your life, because you might need them later. Society is there for a reason. We are social creatures. We are creatures that need physical touch. We need love. We need help. We need encouragement. You know, we need jobs. We need business. We need someone's shoulder to talk to, cry on, whatever. When someone dies, we have emotions. We make mistakes. We're unprofessional at times. We make grievous errors at times. I mean, we're imperfect creatures, right? Right? And because of that, you need other people, other human beings, okay? And not just men, but other human beings. You need other human beings, okay? This is a basic understanding of life. And you don't, here's another one. You don't know who you need, okay? Because you don't know what situations you're going to come in the future. You don't know. You're going to be in the foxhole. You don't know whose hand is going to reach in and help you out. And you don't want to be picky. If you're on the battlefield and the guy is the wrong religion and your bone is sticking out through your arm, you let the guy fix it. No matter what religion he is or lack of religion, right? You know, that's the way life is. You need these other people, okay? All right. So thank you very much. And I understand Red Pill Rage. I understand your feeling and I appreciate that. And I want you to know that it's okay to have that Red Pill Rage feeling. But don't be a fool. Don't sabotage yourself, okay? You're a wise man. You are learning and you are improving. Be a fucking black box sometimes, okay? Be a black box, a wise, intelligent, and get your kicks or your emotion, your happiness from that feeling that you're not always doing the impulsive thing. There's a juice to it. Once you do it once, you'll feel it. You'll be like, you know something, but you don't say anything. That gives you the juice. So capture that juice. Enjoy that feeling. It's like, okay, I see what she's doing. All right. Okay. I see what the mistake that guy's making. Is it my place? Nope. I'm going to shut the fuck up. But you smile, this devious smile, and you get the juice from that. Society, you can't change everybody, but you can change yourself. And if you're lucky, you can change a few other people that you can share with, and then you can grow with, and you can have camaraderie and feelings and friendship. And you don't get that by exploding, by being crazy, by being angry and driving people away, okay? All right, there you go. Thanks for watching, and Red Pill Rage into rocking chair wisdom. All right, guys, have a great day. Thanks for listening.